the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor, our west coast became a potential combat zone. Living in that zone were more than 100,000 persons of Japanese ancestry, 2/3 of them American citizens, 1/3 aliens. We knew that some among them were potentially dangerous, but no one knew what would happen among this concentrated population if Japanese forces should try to invade our shores. Military authorities therefore determined that all of them, citizens and aliens alike, would have to move.
That's right, Chris, and protesters say the filming supports gentrification. For some time now, people in this area say that it's been losing its culture and character, and you can see the frustration that they're dealing with on this mural right here behind me. Just last week, it was graffitied. Now, protesters tell us all across East Austin.
Surveyors lay out the lines that are followed by the railroad. The ties and the rails are laid even before the trees are felled. The X means that this tree will itself be used in moving other trees as soon as they are brought down and cut into logs. The topper will cut off the top and the tree will be rigged with cables and pulleys.
Have already begun a multi-million-dollar campaign of lies and misinformation to defeat Prop 10. They're against us. They don't want us to live a basic human life with dignity in our homes. They just want their money. So,
Santa Anita Racetrack, for example, suddenly became a community of about 17,000 persons. The Army provided housing and plenty of healthful, nourishing food for all. The residents of the new community set about developing a way of life as nearly normal as possible. They held church services, Protestant, Catholic, and Buddhist. They issued their own newspaper, organized nursery schools, and some made camouflage nets for the United States Army.
Today, housing activists are protesting against the development of luxury apartments in neighborhoods where people who don't make a lot of money are being forced out. Demonstrators in the Mission held signs like these calling attention to the affordable housing crisis.
For most people, a job like this would seem too dangerous, but then logging is a hard and dangerous work, and these men take pride in their strength and courage. They are the men who fell the trees and get the logs out of the woods so that we may have lumber, for houses, for furniture, for the 1,000 uses of wood. And all in his day's work, over goes the top of this tree.
why is it legal for housing to sit vacant while people are forced to sleep on the street? Because the rent is too high for them to afford. It's because the system we live in, it is a system of capitalism that puts profits over people's needs. The system and its lackeys in City Hall protect the profits of the landlords and developers above all else. Capitalism is an irrational and inhumane system.
The final movement began. At each relocation center, evacuees were met by an advance contingent of Japanese who had arrived some days earlier and who now acted as guides.
Happening now, there's another protest in San Francisco targeting Google's commuter buses. KRON 4's Jackie Sissel live right now in the city's Mission District with details. Jackie?
Good morning, Mark. Actually, things are quiet right now, but there was a different scene about 15 minutes ago when about 24 protesters surrounded a Google bus. In fact, we have some video of what it looked like earlier this morning. Now, we've seen these protests in the past, and some of them were over the fact that they didn't like the fact that Google wasn't paying.
The job of logging is well underway. Donkey engines are brought up to lift the big logs, haul them around and place them on railroad cars. Heavy cables and huge pulleys are needed to lift logs weighing up to 50 tons. The actual felling of a tree begins with the making of a scaffold for the axemen to stand on as they work. Then they begin their cutting.
If you're apartment hunting in San Francisco and ever considered living in a luxury condo in downtown, check out 1550. I had the chance to share this furnished 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment. The kitchen and living space is fully open so you can cook dinner while enjoying this beautiful view with your friends hanging out on the couch. This unit is on the 37th floor with stunning 180-degree views of the Golden Gate Bridge all the way to Bernal Heights.
Naturally, the newcomers looked about with some curiosity. They were in a new area, on land that was raw, untamed, but full of opportunity. Here they would build schools, educate their children, reclaim the desert. Their own physicians took precautions to guard against epidemics.
The coronavirus pandemic has also become an inequality pandemic. Never before have we seen such a simultaneous increase in the gulf between the haves and the have-nots around the world. The virus has exposed, fed off, and increased existing inequalities of wealth, gender, and race.
Cutting their way into trees that may be as old as our civilization. For the redwood trees of California are probably the oldest of living things. The redwoods that grow along the coast live to be 2,000 years old. They are young at 350 years, they are mature at 1,000 years, and they reach old age at 1,500 years.
We were forced to go over the hill to the projects. We're actually, strangely enough, paid more to live in those projects than we did these houses that were owned by black folks. Is grandmother still up there? Oh, hi, Grandma. You remember me? Remember the girl with the big glasses from right there? Are you the last one who owns and lives? Yeah. Wow, that's incredible.
Latifah Simon doesn't live in San Francisco, where you grew up.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Oh my God, Latifah, don't cry. My mother braided my hair on this stoop.
Wow. Her family was evicted from her home in 1997.
Community life and security within were largely up to the Japanese themselves. They immediately saw the need for developing civic leaders. At weekly community meetings, citations were given to the block leaders who had worked most diligently. Special emphasis was put on the health and care of these American children of Japanese descent.
So down they come, some of the world's oldest, biggest, and tallest trees. Trees that grow over 350 feet high. Trees that may be over 20 feet thick at the base. Trees that are so big that more than 20 houses can be made from just one tree. But don't think these giants are being completely destroyed. Many of the oldest and the biggest of the redwoods are being saved. Parks with thousands of acres of redwoods are set aside for our enjoyment.